I think that the ideas of social networking in particular, although over the last few years, the last 4 or 5 years have really been in many ways very, very, very consumer focused, and the business interactions have been more towards how do we exploit these networks to market to their members more effectively. I think we're going to see a lot more trend toward how these networks actually get used and how these communities actually get used as part of the way organizations are doing business. I think that's going to be significant, as well as some of the other trends around how all of our attention as customers is managed and stored and measured. What sites do we go to? What podcasts are we listening to? What communities do we belong to? What web pages are we clicking on? All of those types of things are significant bits of attention data that we need as customers and as individuals need to be holding on to, and we really need to be in control of that information so that we are able to release it to the individuals that we want to have it and not have it live out there in all of these different silos that other organizations are putting forth and putting our information into in such a way that we really don't have control over these aspects of our identity. I think that the other significant trend is, instead of large monolithic pieces of information that are very, very dense and difficult to work with, like full-on and full-length videos and podcasts and books and such. I think we're going to see an increasing number of things where all of these pieces of large content really get atomized and then are searchable and then reform, and people can use the individual pieces of these larger bodies of work in ways that the original creators had not imagined they would be used. So take a book, explode it out not just to its component chapters, but even down to the concepts. And if an organization is trying to put together a report or put together a presentation to illustrate a concept, enable the pieces of that book to be pulled together in the way that really show the story that the presentation creator is trying to put forth. The other question that we were asked was, what are some of the potential threats to these networks? And I really think there are a couple-fold. One is the fairly obvious one around the regulatory threat, that if any particular constituency feels that they need to control the network either through its growth or its accessibility or the content that is allowed on it, I see that as a huge threat to the success of networks. And the other is really the challenge that networks aren't used to connect people up who are actually trying to get things done and connect with each other, but instead is just used as yet another way to market to us. And I think that's a huge challenge and a huge risk. And if we see some of the larger networks out there, we have seen some of this trend in that it's really viewed as yet another way to market to eyeballs, as opposed to being a place where people can actually gather together in the commons. And then the last sort of threat to the emerging networks that I see out there are the continual desire to find the next new thing and not letting a lot of these concepts really steep and come to fruition before folks are on to the next shiny thing, if you will. So thank you very much, and I look forward to the conversations at Supernova.